Hello, and welcome to Nerds Now Playing, a podcast where we talk about all things nerdy, including video games, movies, and entertainment. This podcast is filmed in the studio, Feely Creative Studios in Salina, Kansas. I am your host, Devin, and with me is Tim.
How's it going, y'all?
How you doing this week, Tim?
I'm doing pretty good. Despite coming off of this, as we're recording this, it's the week after Memorial Day weekend. And I know we both kind of took a long weekend from work. I don't know about you. I may have stayed up extra late a couple nights in a row.
You were yawning a lot already on the first day back to work. You look pretty tired.
I wasn't my tired.
It was supposed to be a weekend of rest.
I rested.
What happened?
Well, I did rest, but unfortunately, when you go from spending some late nights just hanging out and playing video games, and then you have to be up again, and you have the ability to sleep in, and then you have to get up at 7:30 to get ready. That kind of your body's just not used to it.
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of the main thing. Like I didn't stay up super late on Monday night. But just kind of how it goes. Which, speaking of which, did you do anything exciting or fun over the Memorial Day weekend?
Not really. This is one of those weekends where work was really busy leading up to it, and didn't didn't go traveling or anything like that.
Yeah.
But I did things that I personally thought was fun, which was hang out and play, watch movies. Watched 3 movies over the weekend.
Dang.
I played some not Breath of the Wild. I played Tears of the Kingdom actually for a little bit.
So how far up are you now? I know we talked about this a little bit once before.
So I properly started playing Tears of the Kingdom, but I did not. I don't think I've gotten really far at all. There's a main area where you start out the game
the Sky
high
Islands.
up in the sky, and so I did complete those, and I dropped off into the actual world of Hyrule. But so far, I've just started traveling southwest a little bit. That was my plan. I just started heading in a direction and come across some things to do along the way, some shrines that you have to complete to get more hearts or stamina and some items like that. So I mean, I really haven't done much, but there's like so many little things that I'm coming across, these little minor like puzzles and stuff. There's a character that's hanging signs for
that guy, the Hudson Sun guy.
Yeah, so I've been doing some of that.
I keep finding those every once in a while.
And so I've had a lot of Korok. So I feel like I need like 4 hours uninterrupted game time
just to make some progress,
to make some story progress.
Yeah.
But so far I've just haven't got to do that. But that's the thing about what I expect out of this game is it's kind of like the hangout game, or the game that I will spend. It's hard for me to explain, but there's like some games where you just go to level and until the end. Because I had also started God of War Ragnarok,
right,
which is by design a more linear game, but Tears of the Kingdom is so
open world, sandbox,
and you just can set your own pace, and you can spend hours playing it without really accomplishing much.
Oh yeah, I've done a lot of that. Most of my time has really been side questing. Like I did finally do last night. I finally did the water temple.
Oh, cool.
So I've done the wind temple and the water temple, and that's really as far as I've gotten, like the main quests. Because I spent over the weekend. I did. You can join in Hebra, where like the wind, the Rito are. You can join the Lucky Clover Gazette. So basically, you become a reporter for this newspaper, and you go to all these different stables, and you can find many like side quests. But the good thing is, like, if you do all of them, then you get the Froggy Armor set, which allows you to cling to surfaces even when it's raining. And if there's one thing that's the biggest enemy from Breath of the Wild, it's rain.
Yeah, that's right. I've already been interrupted by rain several times.
It feels more inconvenient in this game than it did in Breath of the Wild.
I haven't played a ton. Well, I mean, I don't have much stamina, and you need stamina to run, and you need it to climb surfaces, which there are a lot of slopes and stuff to when you're traveling this open world, and I haven't got enough stamina yet. And there's been a couple times where it's been a slight drizzle even, and that's prevented me from just climbing up just very short
Yeah.
not very tall distances, so that's been a little bit annoying. But I haven't been too annoyed by it because.
Have you managed to? I was going to ask. A couple weeks ago, I was at your place hanging out, and you were playing. You were kind of struggling with the controls. Has that gotten better? Have you gotten more used to them now?
I have gotten a little more used to it. But I have like God of War brain still.
Oh wow!
And I also played some of Elden Ring a lot, and the button layout is for those two games. There is how I like think 3D adventure games like that should play.
Gotcha.
Because what's happening in Tears of the Kingdom is that I keep hitting the R trigger to
to like swing the sword.
Well, I'm hitting it to try to change out my weapons.
Oh, I see.
That I keep doing that.
It's different because like you have to use the D-pad.
Yeah.
In Tears, I will say like that is one thing. Like Nintendo just kind of like Apple, they have to be different.
If they just let me custom control just a couple more buttons, I think it would be fine. And because I also have to like when I run and jump, do a combo of that, I have to like twist my hand around the controller and use because I don't like my thumb to come off the controller to move.
Yeah.
So I have to like turn my hand and use my index finger to
gotcha.
hit the jump button while I'm also running.
So I don't know if you did it or not. So one of the first things I did, because I hated that button layout in Breath of the Wild, that it was like across from each other. It's just not a natural function in most games where like jump was down or was up here and run was down here, and it just doesn't feel natural to go from down here to up here. So I actually switched mine. You can actually swap that to now run is on the top and jump is on the bottom. And I use jump way more often than run. So especially like because that's how you deploy the paraglider. So like that has been significantly more helpful for me, at least in my playthrough. I will say like I did a lot of. Have you explored much of the depths?
Well, when I last played and I have left off, I did just drop down into the depths, but I have not like taken a single. As soon as I dropped down, there was a person asking for like those glowing flowers that because when you're in the depths, it's dark, it's black. And you can't see.
The bright seeds, yeah,
the bright seeds. So there was a character that asked if they could have some bright seeds, and I gave it to him, but then they turned into one of those swordsmen.
Oh, you ran into a Yiga?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. I have run into some Yiga clan members, but not the ones that trick you.
So that was my first. So that's the first thing that happened as soon as I landed into the depths.
Wow.
And so and then once I defeated the Yiga, I had to quit playing for that time. That was like towards my end. So then I didn't get to take a single step into the depths. But I did fall into there. Which is interesting. This game's really interesting because there is the depth. So they have the whole map from Breath of the Wild.
This map is huge.
But then there's a whole under a basement to the whole map.
Well, and there's an attic.
And an attic.
Like the map truly is massive in this game. And like I think I've barely touched the depths. Like I've unlocked a certain amount of it, but like I haven't really set out to just explore down there beyond like a few things. Like I've gotten a few old maps and like some of the Sky Islands that'll point to treasure down there, and it's almost always in the depths. And I will say, like, it does seem to mirror, for whatever reason, the depths mirrors Hyrule, like the upper level, because like there's one of the things I did over the weekend, and it might be the toughest thing I've ever done in a game aside from Dark Souls. There's a Colosseum on the upper level of Hyrule that has a Thunder Gleeok, which is basically a Hydra. You can find the Colosseum as well in the depths, and it is a gauntlet of Lynels. And they're the ones that are covered in gloom, so every hit that they deal to you basically takes one of your hearts that you can't get back.
Oh, no.
I managed to make it through them. I somehow had, like, there's I don't remember where I got it. There's a chest somewhere that basically, remember like the ancient arrows from the first game? I don't know if you ever used them. Apparently, like one of those would obliterate a Lynel in one hit. So I managed to find something. I found something like that in some chest, and I completely forgot that I had it. And I was on the last. There's like 4 Lynels in a row, and the last one basically has stone armor that encases it. So you either have to come in there with bombs and bomb arrows to shoot and like blast off this armor, or hit it with a rock hammer. And that getting up and close and personal with that one is not safe. I mean, it's not safe with most Lionels. But I happen to remember, like, I fused a rocket to my shield and blasted up onto the top of the Coliseum to like get more health. Because I had to cook some stuff, and usually you can't cook when an enemy is nearby, but it's just high enough that I could do it. So I did that and like went back down, and I was falling and doing like the bullet time in the air, and I was like, I wonder if this will work the same. And I managed to take him out in one hit, and like I got the Majora's Mask out of that, which similar to the first game, which I didn't get it in the first game, but it basically allows you to go into certain enemy packs and they'll just won't notice you. I think is how it's supposed to work.
That's really cool.
So I'm looking forward to maybe just wearing that through the depths so that I don't keep getting ambushed.
We'll have to keep that in mind because right now I only have 4 hearts. I think I can get 2 more if I wanted to. I have enough shrines that I completed, but I don't think I can do much combat right yet. So I need to grind a little bit.
Oh yeah,
play some more on that.
And that's where like I because I've been so side questing so much, like I may be a little OP for some of these sections. It's like I was doing the water temple in order to get there. There's some of these platforming areas that it has some really interesting gameplay mechanics of how you have to get to some of these places. And I initially found it earlier in the playthrough the temple itself because I had through use of both the Zonai materials and my own like just endurance because I have 3 full stamina bars, and I managed to make it all the way to the water temple without being able to unlock it.
Oh,
because I didn't do the quest
that,
before. Yeah. I did the same thing with the wind temple accidentally as well. Like, because like I started the quest and then I got up there and like, oh, it's fine, I can start this. No, you have to have like the main like the other hero next to you in order to do it. Because each one of them has a specific mechanic that allows you to do these puzzles. I will say like one thing about Breath of the Wild, I think we talked about it last time, but it's kind of there the lack of traditional Zelda dungeons. And I do feel like these ones are they feel easier than the Great Beasts in the last game to me. Like puzzle wise.
Yeah, some of the Great Beasts last time wasn't necessarily hard to me, but because you had to like turn some of like invert things or whatever, that was played mind games on me, I guess.
It did for me too. So like these ones are a little bit more simplistic in that regard.
Do they have keys?
They do not.
Doors? Okay. Well, then that's not a temple.
So it's considered a temple, but it's I agree. Like they seem to have shied away completely from traditional Zelda dungeons, which I'm kind of sad about because I did really like the way those other ones work. Like despite the fact like I know everyone complains about the water temple from Ocarina of Time. Justifiably so. But I don't know. I kind of miss having to like get keys and like getting a specific item that works from that dungeon, like the hook shot, or the long shot from that temple.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I'm curious about this one because in all those other ones you would do these setup dungeons and then you would do like the actual temples later. So they didn't really have that in Breath of the Wild, and I'm interested if they will in this one because I've done 2 of the main like researching the phenomena stuff of these areas. So I just have to do Death Mountain and the Gerudo, and I'm curious if after that if it's just the end game, because that's one thing. Like it's a huge sandbox, which is great and good for exploration. But I don't know. I kind of missed that more traditional Zelda feel.
Right.
So I don't know.
Yeah. So I was going to go to the Gerudo one. But since there's so much to do and like when you find these shrines, and I'm really enjoying the shrines with the puzzles that you did with those.
They're better in this game than they were in Breath of the Wild.
So I set out to go in one direction on the map, but because I kept going to these other things, I ended up going back to the Rito place anyway, which is what the game wants you to do. So
it gently guided you back.
I guess I'm there now. So that's one of the cool things about this game. You set out to do one thing, but you get sidetracked. It gets sidetracked, and you don't really realize it. So it's been really fun playing that game. So I'm looking forward to playing more, hopefully this next weekend when I get a chance to again.
Me too. I'm hoping to play more this week. I was going to ask, before we kind of switch over and get into our movie reviews for today, is there any movies that are coming up that you're interested in?
We have the summer movies coming up, which we haven't really talked about very much. Haven't. There's some that I know that I'm not super interested in. I know there's another Transformers movie coming out. Not super excited about that.
But that's the Beast Wars, though.
It is, but I don't know. Just it doesn't look like it's going to be as good as what Bumblebee was.
I still need to watch Bumblebee. I haven't gone around to that one. I never watched the previous one. The like King Arthur one, whatever, number 5.
Oh gosh, I don't even know. Is it Age of Extinction?
I don't remember.
Maybe it is some the Black Knight or something. There's like a
maybe
knight,
that's it.
like the word knight is in that one of those. But I haven't seen Transformers since past Transformers 3, exception of Bumblebee. But in Bumblebee was really good. That brought heart back to it. But as far as other summer movies, well, let's just like list off a couple. There's Indiana Jones 5.
I am hopeful that will be better than Crystal Skull.
According to the reviews, is not so far. No.
Ooh.
So I was like a little bit surprised by that because the trailer looked like any other trailer, I think. But I don't know. At least it looked fun. But then some of the reviews have come in, and these are reviews that the movie premiered at Cannes.
Cannes Festival.
Yep. And so we don't have a ton of reviews, but
gotcha.
That's where some of these initial reviews have come from, and so they have not been very warm on it at all. So a little bit disappointed. I'm really disappointed actually in that.
Dang. Well, it's hard. Maybe it's just because Harrison Ford is not in his prime anymore, but like it's hard to beat the original Raiders of the Lost Ark, and I know you're a huge fan of Temple of Doom. I need to rewatch Temple of Doom. I just haven't gotten around to it in a long time. Like a family favorite, like in my household, was the third one, Last Crusade.
Right.
Just the relationship between Harrison Ford and Sean Connery.
Definitely a highlight. Yeah,
it's fantastic in that movie.
I would say, in terms of Crystal Skull, I do think if you got rid of the
the aliens,
no, the aliens are fine. I mean, because that's like the third act. A little sequence, it's done, whatever, who cares? But if you got rid of Shia LaBeouf swinging on vines with monkeys, CG monkeys, I think people's perspective might be a lot different.
What about the atomic fridge thing?
Fine with it. I was actually fine. I feel like I didn't really mind it. It's like because that one's set in the 50s, I believe.
Maybe I don't remember.
And so it kind of fit. It fit. It wasn't. So I think these types of movies, they're allowed to have like one ridiculous moment, but that's like it.
That's fair.
And they kind of like drew. What do they do? They showed their hand too quick with the refrigerator thing, which I don't mind, but it's the hokey swinging on the vines. Because I had watched parts of it recently, and they have like these. Killer ants or something that attack them too.
Oh, I don't remember that at all.
Remember that? Which I feel like I think it bothered me a lot more when I first watched it, but watching it again is like it was just another. It was fine. It just kind of like fit. But the swinging monkeys thing, that was a step too far.
I will say, I wonder if you mentioned the ants attacking them. I wonder if you may not have ever seen it. I think it. There's an old movie that I watched growing up, and I want to say it's called Them, but that might also be a different movie. But there's one movie where these like killer army ants are attacking this base, and like there's one scene like and they're like insanely smart because there's a moment where like they try and flood them out, and the ants just like wade over the river through like on leaves. And there's one guy who like wakes up, he's literally covered in ants. It's like they're eating him alive.
Nice.
It's crazy. So I wonder if it's like a harkening back to one of those, which actually like the original Indiana Jones is actually it's an homage to an earlier not Harrison Ford, Charlton Heston movie.
Oh, really?
Yeah, like down to the costume actually even. I don't remember the name of it off the top of my head, but there is a. I'd have to maybe look into it later. But George Lucas is not shy about straight up like kind of using other things for inspiration.
Oh yes, definitely. I mean, he used like.
He used Kurosawa for Star Wars.
Absolutely. And
not only plot wise, but like angle, like his angle switches, like the fade in, like as it slides up.
Yeah,
that's straight out of Kurosawa's work.
And he was also a fan of the Flash Gordon old TV. TV serials.
Yeah.
So you really see that kind of aesthetic in both Star Wars and Indiana Jones. They have that that kind of a vibe to it.
Yeah.
But I think it's fine to take inspiration.
Oh yeah, it's totally fun. Like I have no qualms with it. It's just interesting to look into. So like I haven't actually sat down to watch it, so maybe that's a movie that we should review at some point, whatever it's called.
Whatever it is called.
Whatever it's called. I'll research it later. But yeah, so like the costume even for Harrison Ford's Indiana Jones is like straight up lifted from that movie. Which is really interesting.
I'll have to look into that.
But so as far as like other movies go, and we'll wrap this up real quick. But
I think
Across the Spider-Verse, I'm pretty excited for.
Yeah, I know you are. I'm not excited, but like I'm excited enough.
Fair enough.
I think I'll watch it because I do think I'm like more excited for. I'm interested in the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movies that's coming out.
Oh,
and
okay.
It's kind of in that same style that I think is really interesting. And I do like the style of the Spider-Verse too, and I have a feeling I'm going to like it a lot because I like the first one a good deal. And what I really appreciate about it is the animation style that they did.
Well, I love like each different like dimension has its own even different frame rates. It's very interesting.
Yeah, and like it's just really refreshing because of the like a lot of these 3D movies that you see, they kind of like style wise feel the same, like in terms of how the character design and all that stuff.
Yeah.
But then Spider-Man comes out, and it's just totally stylistic and different and new.
Yeah.
And it really serves the story a lot too. And so that was really cool to watch. So it'll be interesting to see how they up it like emotionally or story wise. So that's going to be like a key factor in that one.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that too.
But the new Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle movies looks like it has that same kind of like a style, like a
that sort of animation style,
booky looking.
Okay, I might have to watch a new trailer for that thing because I don't remember seeing one. I will say, like, I have not watched. Is it?
And Seth Rogen's producing that one too.
Really? Wait. I have seen a trailer for that once. I think there might be a new one. One of my group chats just sent me a link to a new trailer. I think this morning. Yeah, I was gonna say, like, I love TMNT, like the original cartoon from the 80s and 90s is fantastic. That theme still slaps to this day. To use the terms of the young people. But I never saw. Is it Zack Snyder? Maybe it's not Zack Snyder. Who did like the live action ones in the last couple of years?
Well, I don't. They were Michael Bay produced.
Okay,
but I'm not sure who wrote or directed them. But
I couldn't remember. Like I wasn't a fan of like the look of them. It didn't like they looked better in the 90s, like ridiculous hokey outfits.
Yeah.
I got you. Okay, so those were. It was directed by Steve Barron.
Steve Barron, just a director for hire. Sounds like, but
yeah, I mean,
sometimes when those movies were marketed, it was like Michael Bay produced.
Yeah, which
and it looks like a Michael Bay produced Turtles movie. What you would expect from?
Yeah, honestly, I mean, I don't know. I will say, like, as far as like his work, I haven't seen like an overabundance of it. I did like the first Transformers that came out. I thought it was okay, and that was probably the first Michael Bay film that I'd seen. But I don't know. His style is just kind of tiresome.
I'll see what the reviews say about the new Transformers movie, and then maybe I'll be more aggressive about watching it.
I will say, like, I am interested in just for like I didn't watch the Beast Wars cartoon, but I am interested in that, those style of Autobots.
I can't remember the actress's name who was in Bumblebee, like Haley Steinfeld or something like that.
Oh, I have no idea.
I really liked her in Bumblebee. And she does not look like she's in the new Beast Wars Transformers. Okay. So I don't know. That might be a no for me, but we'll have to see. So other movies that are coming out. I know the new Mission Impossible movie. There's
another one?
Yep. Well, yes, of course there is. There's going to be.
What ridiculous thing does Tom Cruise do now?
Well, the trailer for it dropped a couple weeks ago, and it does look like there's so much going on in this movie with what Tom Cruise was on a helicopter, of course. He was on a motorcycle that he ramped off a cliff.
Naturally.
I've really enjoyed the latest batch of Mission Impossible movies, so I'm going to be really interested in checking this one out. I really did like Rogue Nation a lot, but I do get them a little confused with which one is which now. But the last couple I thought were pretty good.
I don't think I've seen a Mission Impossible since maybe Mission Impossible 3.
Oh, really? Well, you should watch. Really, because Mission Impossible 3 kind of like restarted Mission Impossible when J.J. Abrams came and directed that one. But you should check out Mission Impossible 4. I guess if you really want to, I guess.
But I mean, maybe I will at some point. I don't know. The spy genre thing is kind of like superheroes. To me, it's just kind of getting old.
Well, the good thing is like Mission Impossible movies are really good though. They're really good at the old spy espionage movies.
Fair.
Like I think, and because I liked Mission Impossible 3. J.J. Abrams was coming off of some highly known TV directing that he did, and the Mission Impossible 3 I do feel like has kind of more of a TV feel a little bit in terms of like his camera angle composition, all those things. It's a little more TV-ish.
I see.
It's not like fully like there's areas for improvement, and you see that when you watch Mission Impossible 4.
Okay, that's fair.
Like the stunts are better. Everything's like just more. It's just better. Like J.J. Abrams gets a lot of credit for a lot of things, and there's a lot of good stuff in Mission Impossible 3, but I feel like the filmmaking has improved dramatically since the third one. So, because 4 is really good, and 5 is, I believe, Rogue Nation. And I really liked that one. I thought that was a really intense movie. Because that one, they have Tom Cruise holding his breath for like 8-10 minutes or whatever, underwater doing Tom Cruise stuff.
Does he run faster in every sequel?
He does. And I don't remember if it was Rogue Nation, the one after that, which I can't remember the name of, which I didn't like as much, but it was still pretty good. But he did break an ankle on one of those movies. He jumped from a building rooftop to another building rooftop.
I think I did hear about that one,
but
which is just insane.
But I'd recommend checking them out. But the next one's coming out. It looks like it has a ton of action. I'm not sure what's going on story-wise, but it looks like it's going to be a pretty fun movie.
Gotcha. So, well, it looks like I have some to look into then, because.
What other summer movies are coming out?
At this point, I'm honestly without looking up, I'm not really sure. Other than Spider-Verse, actually the new Dune Part 2 comes out.
Oh yeah,
which I'm really excited about that. I know you haven't read the book, and I know you weren't terribly favorable on the first movie, as I recall.
It's like
which I will say I think at the time your opinion was that it should appeal to more of the masses rather than the people that it's meant for. And I disagree with that approach because I think there are some movies that
I'd have to, is that what I said though?
It was something along those lines.
Because I think there was I do feel like because I don't remember, I have to rewatch it again. And I probably would, because the thing with Dune, seeing a part 1 and then you have to wait to see a part 2, I think that was a little frustrating for me too, because when you split these stories in half a little bit.
Well, this is Dune is big enough and it's complex enough. You cannot do it in one movie, or you should not. Well, they forced David Lynch into that, and that movie turned out not great.
But I think what I do remember, because I did watch the David Lynch movie, and having seen that David Lynch movie and the new one, I don't think the David Lynch one is that bad.
It's not bad. It's just there are things that there's a lot of studio interference with that movie.
I feel like in terms of the story, they told it the best way they could at that time with the technology and all that stuff. So I think it's fine. I think there's a lot of criticism for that movie.
I mean, I don't dislike it, but
because that movie it tells the full Dune story in the one movie.
It tells as much as it can,
but it tells the majority of it,
more
right?
more or less.
Basically, it's the whole book in one movie.
Yeah.
Okay. So obviously, there's a lot of things cut out, and that would benefit from expanding on and stuff. But I feel like it was cohesive enough, and it would definitely help if I read the book. I probably would be a lot more critical of the movie, but I feel like I really took it in and got it. So I thought the criticism towards it was interesting. Because I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it a lot. I would defend it a little bit because I thought it was pretty good.
Like I said, I do like it, and I'm a huge Lynch fan. So I have nothing against that necessarily. But I will say, as far as the book goes, the new one is so much better of an adaptation. And I think those who were involved, it just looks fantastic. It's done well. And Denis Villeneuve, I don't know how to pronounce his last name.
I think you got it pretty close.
He is in love so much with the book. I think he's reread the book while on set several times, and he'll go into the glossary, because it's one of those books that it has a glossary for you to understand terms the Bene Gesserit and the Kwisatz Haderach and all these different terms that are part of this world that I can't remember the name of the author now. that he created it, and it's just really a really fascinating book. And I think the movie so far, the first part, has done a really good job of adapting it. So I'm really excited for part 2. And I sadly didn't get to see the first one in IMAX, but I do want to see part 2 in IMAX. So
I thought we went and saw it in IMAX.
You might have. I don't think I got to see it with you.
We went to Dune together.
Did we?
Yes.
I don't remember
Manhattan.
I think you may have went with somebody else because I'm pretty sure I didn't see it till it came on HBO.
No. We went and saw it. You even drove your car.
Are you sure?
Yeah, we went to Manhattan.
I don't remember this.
We did.
Are you sure it's on a different movie? No, that was the Bond movie.
Was it?
It was the Bond.
Was it No Time to Die?
Yeah.
Oh, and then maybe we saw a trailer for it.
I think we saw a trailer for it.
Well, then you
might have gone with Alicia or one of your other friends.
No,
it wasn't me.
Alicia would not see that movie.
It definitely wasn't me. You might have gone with somebody else.
Did we watch it on movie night?
I don't think we did.
Like, if I had watched that movie, it would had to have been with you.
I don't think so.
Okay, so we saw No Time to Die. So
we definitely watched that one because we finished our Bond marathon.
So I do apologize. We did see No Time to Die. And we made that trip. But
well, let's make an effort to go see Dune Part 2 in IMAX together then.
Okay.
Because we can rewatch the first one on your gigantic TV with surround sound.
That's right.
And get that experience. And then we can go watch the new one.
So do you have a list of other summer movies? Man, I'm drawing a blank.
Man, I can't think of any off the top of my head. Maybe we'll have to make a post about it and see which ones that we're interested in.
Okay.
And maybe which ones our watchers are interested in. But let's go ahead and let's go and take a quick break before we get in today's review. And this time we're reviewing Missing.
All right, we are back from our break so we can review today's movie, Missing, that is available currently on Netflix.
Yes.
Now, Tim, I recommended this movie for you to watch.
You did, yeah.
We watched it over the weekend because we watched 3 movies, and this was the better movie that we watched.
Gotcha. I had never heard of this movie before you mentioned it.
I do remember seeing a trailer for it, and it looked like a movie that I wouldn't necessarily want to just pop on and watch, but I'm glad I did. It's actually very rated high on Rotten Tomatoes, at least. It's in the 90s, I believe.
I was pleasantly surprised. And it's one of the things like, so I watched the trailer for the predecessor, Searching. I watched both the trailer for that and the trailer for this one, and it seemed like such a similar concept.
Yeah.
And it's interesting, like the production company is also called Search Party. So it's like, are these the only movies that you guys make where somebody goes missing and you have to find them? And like I haven't watched Searching. I almost thought about watching both last night.
Yeah, and I only knew about Searching because I was looking into Missing. It said Missing was a standalone sequel to Searching. I was like, well, Missing was pretty good, I thought. So what's Searching about? What is Missing about, though?
So the synopsis that is on IMDb, from the minds behind Searching comes Missing, a thriller roller coaster mystery that makes you wonder how well you know those who are closest to you. When her mother disappears while on vacation in Colombia with her new boyfriend, June, played by Storm Reed, searches for answers, or her search for answers is hindered by international red tape. Stuck thousands of miles away in Los Angeles, June creatively uses all the latest technology at her fingertips to try and find her before it's too late. But as she digs deeper, her digital sleuthing raises more questions than answers. And when June unravels secrets about her mom, she discovers she never really knew her at all.
Accurate.
Which is pretty good. So this came out this year on Netflix. Pretty small cast, really, in terms of like the main ones who were involved. Tim Griffin, who plays James, the dad. Nia Long plays Grace, the mom. Storm Reed plays June. And Storm Reed, I don't know her from much else other than she's in that one episode, the flashback episode
of The Last of Us.
And then, interestingly, the one who plays young June, Ava Zaria Lee, I think I'm not sure if that's exactly the pronunciation. For some reason, on IMDb how they list like the top 3 stars that are in the movie, before they actually get to the cast. Young June, Ava Zaria Lee, who's 5, is listed ahead of Storm Reed.
Storm. Yeah, I noticed that too.
Which is
actually,
weird
I
because like
noticed
she's
that
the
too.
main star of this movie.
Because we were gonna look up somebody too. Well, I usually when I'm watching a movie, I pull up IMDb. It's just I don't know, really fun to do that, I guess. But yeah, Storm Reed was like, she got like 5th billing or
which
something.
is weird because like she's the main person in this movie, so like I feel like she deserves a bit more recognition than that. So overall, what are your thoughts about this movie?
Well, Tim,
you're kind of Jeff Goldbluming there.
Yeah, there it is. Well, so we watched 3 movies over this weekend, and this was the better one. We watched The Mother on Netflix with Jennifer Lopez. We watched Knock at the Cabin, which was
I am really interested in that because I do like some M. Night Shyamalan, but I haven't seen a lot of his more recent stuff.
But Missing was the better of the 3. That was the best movie that we watched, and I really liked it. We watch a lot of true crime documentaries, a lot, and one of them that really stood out in terms of online sleuthing is the Netflix documentary, which I'd recommend watching unless you are bothered by animal cruelty, which comes up in this documentary, is Don't F with Cats.
Oh yeah, you've recommended it to me a couple times. I still haven't got around to watching it.
That is a bonkers documentary. That on the I've not seen a documentary get crazier and crazier at the end, like Don't F with Cats does. In terms, but that movie, they're trying to figure out who is killing cats, basically, and posting videos of this online, and it creates this online community who's trying to track down the identity of this guy. But every step of the way, there's like new information that is mind blowing, really, and every step of the way, and you'd think, how can things escalate even further? And then they do, and it's just wild. So, but it was the online community that was really like intriguing, how they were trying to figure out this killer and stuff. So with Missing, I got a lot of like, Missing doesn't have a community of people trying to find. Tara, what's her name? Grace.
Nia Long's character. The mom.
And what's the daughter's name?
June.
So June is, there's not a, so June's mom goes missing after going on a trip with her boyfriend. And so June doesn't have a whole community, but it's all on her mostly to figure out where her mom is, all from her computer. And this whole movie is shot from the perspective of computer screens or web cameras.
It's a very different feel. Like the way you were describing it to me initially, it sounded like it was found footage, which it definitely is not. And I understand why now that went from what you said, now that I've seen it. It's not something like, it doesn't necessarily feel new or inventive now, like doing it from that perspective. But it is different enough, and like it's still like it's no less of a bad movie or a worse movie because it doesn't do traditional.
Well, more importantly, it is effective.
It very much is,
and because the intro, the way the movie starts, it takes place, I don't know, like 12 years previous or something. I don't know the date, but it starts with kind of found footage in a way, like from old video recording of the family in the before time or whatever. But so there's like actual like filming, like instead of through the perspective of a web camera, but that's to illustrate a different point later on in the movie. But before all that, that's all told through cell phones and the cameras of the web camera and stuff. And that's really fitting because she's trying to figure this out all from her computer, her laptop for the most part. And they had some other clever ways of getting some cell phone footage in there too. Like her mom goes on this vacation. She's expecting her back at the airport, and she was going to greet her at the airport with a sign, and she had her phone recording that while they were doing that. So there's like really like creative ways to that are going to show this in an interesting way, because there's a lot of movies where they have like character texts on phone, and the texts show up on the screen
Oh,
too.
yeah.
And I honestly don't know how else you'd go about maybe doing that in some ways, unless you show them with their phone on their hand all the time.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. It's really interesting. I don't think there's a right or wrong way to go about it, but
I'll say in this one, so the majority of it is definitely through her computer, which makes me wonder if this movie was sponsored by Apple, because everything in it is an Apple product.
was it?
Yeah, because like she's like it was like an iPhone, and like her computer was like hooked up to her text messages, so she was typing a lot of like almost all of her texts were done that way instead of like through her phone.
But I thought this movie was really clever. How June was piecing together information, figuring out like details of how to starts off with her calling the hotel, and they all speak Spanish there.
Yeah,
and so she's like having to translate
using like Google Translate.
While also talking to this hotel. And like I've not really been in a direct situation like this, but even like when you've like say you've left something at a hotel and you have to call the hotel back and try to like navigate, get stuff like that can be like really stressful. But finding a missing person, that has to be a whole nother level. And so there's like language. There's
a language barrier.
There's like so interesting the different steps she has to take to figure out information, and the characters around her. Like her mom goes missing, and like it seems like everyone is just like kind of like not in it with her. Like her mom's best friend is just kind of like, well, I got a meeting to go to, so I can't quite help assist with you finding your mom. So then, but it makes you like think like, okay, what's going on here? There's like new mysteries that are keep unraveling, because there's the boyfriend who's the suspect. They're trying to figure out who he is, like what is his backstory. And so the movie, as it keeps going on, there's all these new mysteries that they're like, and then you're just wondering what is actually going to happen. So I thought it was like really like kind of intriguing the whole way through.
I'd have to agree for myself. Like I was sitting there, like I didn't really know what to expect, but like as she discovers more and more things, like it was almost like it was another twist of this whole thing added. Like, okay, so it's not her, it's not this guy, it's somebody else. Oh wait, is she involved? Like, so let's go ahead and start getting into spoiler territory now.
So your overall thought is,
I think it's great. I liked the way they used the technology as like the way to as it's like filmed. I think it adds a really unique perspective to it, which you don't really see with a lot of movies. So it almost kind of immerses you more in some ways. So I really like that aspect of it. I think Storm Reed does a fantastic job with what with this movie. I think the other people do as well.
Yeah, she's really carrying the movie.
She is absolutely
herself. I know, because I had seen her in The Last of Us, but she really does.
She's not in there long.
She's not in there very long, and I liked her in The Last of Us. But she really does good in this movie. Like, because I got that sense of helplessness that you might get. Like,
absolutely.
Because it has to be hard being in a situation where you're just on your computer. I've done variations of that, not for a missing person, but when you're like trying to figure out a problem and you're all just stuck on your computer. But she did a really good job in that, and so it was really cool to see that kind of work.
Yeah, I completely agree, and I love the way that she goes about it, and I also like the way that this movie kind of sets up this kind of the relationship between her and her mom is very there's a lot of tension there.
There is a lot of tension.
There's a lot of tension, and you don't really understand fully why at the very beginning. And you kind of start to get into it once, like, so let's get into spoilers. So this movie kicks off with that kind of found footage thing where you see her and her dad and the mom, and you see the mom is kind of like almost being overbearing, not quite overbearing, but like maybe overly protective.
Yeah, overly protective.
And you don't really understand. So it seems like, it cuts to like 12 years later when Storm Reed's character is now like 18. And she really doesn't seem to like her mom. Like her mom has a new boyfriend, in the way of this Kevin Lynn, I think is the character name.
And it's also implied at this point that dad is dead or died or something.
There's some allusion to that. Apparently he's just not part of their life. And so I think that being part of it, it just seems like Stormy's character June not having her dad, there just seems to be like such a major thing for her that like it's caused tension between her and her mom. And I'm sure there's other things going on, but they don't really allude to. I think it's just her mom being overprotective is the main issue that's this tension down. Like she's constantly asking June to like keep her location services on so that she knows that she's safe and all this other stuff. And so
it's typical mom, teenage daughter, mom.
Potentially.
Animosity maybe, and then some with something going on.
Yeah.
It's just a bummer that things have to take a tragic turn.
For them to get the relationship back on track.
Yeah,
a little bit. So it's interesting. So the mom goes on this vacation and she leaves her daughter some money for like emergency services, and almost immediately June starts like using that money for partying for like these 10 days, I think is what it is, while her mom's out of town, and like she blows through a lot of it. I mean, I don't know how much was left, but like.
Enough to get a service cleaning there the next.
That was like $700. Good Lord, that was so like ridiculous. But anyway, so like that happens, and then the mom goes missing, which is really where we get into the meat of the movie. And you can see like almost right away, like as soon as she doesn't show up at the airport, June starts getting concerned, understandably so. And really starts investigating. Like she hacks into the boyfriend's account, like his Google account. And she gets really inventive about how to do it, which is really quite impressive.
And like she also thought of the idea, or she found where did they go? Where did the mom travel to?
Colombia.
It's
supposed to be Colombia.
And Colombia has like tourist live cameras.
Yes.
That she even thought to view and stuff. So pretty well. First of all, she calls the hotel the first start and get information that way, and then that leads to something else, and then she gets the cameras with the tourist thing. I don't know if she then does that.
It kind of comes later, but like it kind of comes in and out with that one. What I'm really interested in is so she has this. There's this other service, similar to the maid thing or the house cleaning thing. I think TaskRabbit was what it was called. And so she basically hires a guy in Colombia that he usually does like technical or like I think he says he does like electrical or cleaning services.
Right.
And she hires him basically to go like check out the cameras and get like the footage for her before it gets re-recorded over. And she's also communicating with the FBI
and that's footage from the hotel.
Correct.
They may have some security footage and so so we already have like a time.
It was supposed to be like 48 hours was like the main thing. And so like, having him there, like, it's just a really interesting thing to have him communicate with her. And it's one of the things I kind of appreciate about that as well. And we talked about the, just the way it's shot, as it were. You kind of see almost like the stuttering of, like almost like a bad connection to some of this. And like, that's more true to life. So like, I appreciate that it's like, kind of more realistic in that way.
Yeah, and I wanted to say that like I thought that character, she calls that helper person in Colombia through a service, and
Javi, I think.
Javi, and I really liked his character, and it was really fun to so with a movie like this, a character is stuck on screen, and like how do you make it
interesting?
She has to interact with somebody, but she has Javi being her conduit to somebody on the ground in Colombia, and him being just some guy getting all of a sudden tasked with these crazy little things to do to investigate. And like what is he doing? He was getting receipts from,
there was a hardware store. He was trying to check the hardware stores because he heard a maid had overheard that they were going to go to a hardware store or something.
So this movie like does a lot of things that are like kind of out there, like I think. And
I will say, go ahead.
But because like I feel like you can get the information he was doing, like going to the hardware stores, get a receipt. He's buying gum to get receipts to see X or whatever. But in the context of this movie, I feel like it all worked. Like there was a couple nutty things I thought that were happening in the movie, but I didn't care.
Yeah.
Like I did not care very much.
One thing I really appreciate about the Javi situation, like I really like that you feel like there is a kind of a sense of connection on his character part of, after she kind of begs him to help out because she's searching for a mom, like there's this connection between, him kind of being estranged from his son And that kind of comes like later on where like she kind of uses that against him, and you see that animosity and tension later on where like he doesn't want to talk to her again, but he kind of begrudgingly does temporarily. And so it's just nice to kind of it's a really, I feel like they add in the conflict there, but it feels natural.
They like
it doesn't feel cooked up.
Yeah, it's like it's adhering to a theme of relationships. Her and her mother, him and his son, which you don't really. The son isn't a character in the movie, but it's a driving force of his motivations to even help. Because I mean, if you got a call from some American, and while you're in Colombia, and they're like, "Hey, I need you to," well, who cares? Like that's your problem. But he stuffs up the plate. But
usually nice. So I want to talk about the main. Let's get into the meat of this whole like conspiracy almost that is happening. So it's kind of interesting. One of the things that this movie alludes to is it just keeps changing who you think it is. Because for a long time you think it's the boyfriend who it seems like he's kidnapped the mom and is holding her for ransom or something.
In one of the most crazy schemes. To pull that off, because I thought some things were plausible enough and some were just out there, and this was one of them, because he hires an actress who looks like June's mom, and I wonder if they did the thing where they actually filmed it with June's mom's actor and maybe later changed it to the, because I mean, I don't know, June's mom has big hair, I guess.
Well, they did change, because there's that one moment where she clicks on the video where she finds out it's a video instead of just a picture, and you see the actress's face. Yeah, because that's how like she confirms it. So maybe that was part of it from the beginning, or maybe they did change it later. It's hard to say.
But man, I wish I could remember, because not only did he hire an actress that looks like June's mom or enough like her, because they staged like a marriage proposal.
On the cameras,
and then later they stage a kidnapping, which brilliant, genius move, but the logistics here are just crazy. But
it's insane.
I did not. That was a genuine surprise for me when this fake. Well, the fact that it was a hired actress later, like it's so bonkers. But I was just like, it's okay, insane. Movie, I see you.
Yeah. So there's that part of it, which is like this whole weird and just insane plot. But then it starts steering it towards making you think that maybe the mom is part of this, because apparently she has a past. And they don't, say what that is until later, but it makes you think that she helped kidnap herself so that maybe she could get off the grid or something. And then there's this whole thing. There's also the guy who took them to the airport, who is just this mystery guy that you don't know who it is. And then later on, it alludes to somehow the lawyer friend Heather, they allude to that maybe it's her, because she was the one that there's that program, or maybe it was another program that was off the grid. Communicating, and June had sent a message because she had hacked into Kevin's email and everything, and it had gone it sent a phone number, and that phone number went to Heather, which was a lawyer friend, and so she thought it was her, so she went to go see her, and then turned out Heather was killed by somebody, and so it's just insane. So apparently it's not her, and then we get to the end of the movie, and it in a complete surprise to me, it was the dad who, alluded to before being apparently dead, who was also Jimmy, quote unquote, the church guy. And so it's insane. And you find it at the very beginning of the movie, you see that home video, and you see the dad, his nose bleeding at one point, and you think it's maybe a brain aneurysm or something. And whoever's editing the video cuts it right before that. And it really makes it seem like he's dead. And then you find out later, you see the rest of that clip, and he's he's addicted, must be addicted to heroin or cocaine or something. And he's super paranoid and abusive to the point where he went to prison. And
that's where he met
Kevin, because they were both in the same prison in Texas at Easton, I think is what the name of the prison or the town or whatever. And so you find out that basically he met them, and he helped cook up this entire scheme to help get his daughter back. And so like he kidnaps the mom, which is just insanity. And then he ends up showing up at the house and like tries to, playing into that side, like, I haven't been dead. I'm actually alive. And like his downfall really is mentioning prison. Had he not mentioned where he went to prison, maybe it would have gone better instead of him kidnapping June as well. Because, that's a way to make your child fall back in love with you or to, appreciate you as a parent.
Yeah. We weren't really sure what his long-term strat would be on that.
Yeah.
But
like, it's just, there's no way that was going to go well for him. So like, and not only that, like he straight up at one point shoots the mom in front of her daughter.
Yeah, he does straight up shoot the mom. I do want to say, like, even before all that stuff, when it's revealed the dad's back in the picture, like, there's a really good tense moment where for some reason June lets him in her house.
Oh yeah, well, like and at that point, like, if you think he's dead, like, I mean, you want to maybe see it. Like, I don't know. It's a weird moment. Like, I don't know how I would react in the situation either.
Well, I would say don't let someone like that in your house.
That you think is dead?
Yeah. Because that's just asking for problems there. And then, of course, problems did happen. I mean,
well, yeah.
And don't have your back to the exits either. I don't know. But, yeah, way bonkers. And then the movie is still doing, like, not found footage. It's using the security cameers now.
Well, yeah.
Like when it's at the dad's house, where the mom never even made it to Columbia, it turns out.
No, she didn't even get out of Los Angeles.
She's locked in the house, but we're seeing it all from the perspective of the dad's security cameras.
Right. Well, so it's interesting. Like the entire time, the view that we're seeing on her computer, because I thought it was really weird for a long time that you saw June, like her face alongside everything else, because typically when someone's at their computer, they don't often have their own webcam on to see themselves. So like I thought that was really weird. I thought it was maybe just like that was the technique so you could actually see her face.
The camera would sometimes, like, you're focused on one person's webcam, but as the camera's pulling out, it's like the dad's computer watching her webcam through hacks and stuff.
And like you find it like that's really the perspective, like almost the entire time. So like that completely changed the perspective for me. Like, oh no, like that's so much worse.
Yeah.
And it makes you wonder, like, how. Oh, I just had a realization.
What was that?
There was a moment early on in the film before they went to the trip in Colombia where June had mentioned that. Or Kevin had mentioned that, like, he was asking how her computer was working, that apparently he had fixed something for her. He must have maybe downloaded some software on the computer so that the dad could remote hack into it or get the information.
Oh, okay.
I didn't connect that till just now.
That's a good little detail.
Holy cow. So like, yeah, it's just interesting to see that in the entire time. And so at the end of the film, just kind of jumping back to the end here, they do end up, the dad is, being incredibly abusive and crazy, and
he's taken care of.
He is. I guess we'll not say how necessarily.
But they are okay. So aren't they stuck in their room?
They are. Like, he's basically like, well, so he's in there, and after he shot the mom, he tries to basically like tie up June again, or like, basically he's almost like hog tying her while saying like it's all going to be okay. And obviously, it's not. And the mom manages to get like a shard of glass from the mirror, and
yeah, right. Yeah, doesn't go well for him. But I can't remember now because they need to call 911.
Yeah,
right?
So he locks them back in the room. Like, he manages, like, he tries to go back to his computer, or he does go back to his computer and tries to look up hospitals before he passes out. And so they're locked in, and she happens to remember, like, her early on in the film, her mom keeps using Siri to call things instead of using FaceTime. And so she sees that there's a phone near the computer, and because the computer is, hearing all the sound that's coming through, she ends up brilliantly using that, like saying, "Hey Siri, call 911."
Because she also remembers there's a security camera in the vent, looking into that room too. So we thought that was a pretty clever.
That was a great way to do it. And I will say one thing as we kind of wrap this up. I really loved at the very end. So, when the mom was leaving, she said, "I love you" in text, and June just gives a thumb up.
Yeah.
At the very end of the movie, you kind of start seeing these chats again, and you see, June being a lot more loving and more happy to have her mom back, and she sends like an I love her, and her mom gives her the thumb up as a response, which is a great callback.
I looked up on IMDb while we were watching it at the beginning, and apparently there's a text message from either the director of the movie or the producer at some point in the midway in the movie that reveals the ending of it.
Oh.
So I was trying to keep an eagle eye out for that. But I don't think I saw it. Interesting. But I thought that was a pretty interesting thing.
I wonder if it was maybe like one of the Post-it notes on the computer screen.
Maybe. Which there was a lot. That was kind of like driving me nuts. That's Apple... I don't know if they still have the sticky notes. I think they do.
Maybe,
but I used to use that a lot too. But it was like giving me like OCD.
It gives me like just seeing how crazy her desktop was set up. Kind of made me nuts because like I'm one of those people who like has to clear like all my notifications and like likes to have things like if my desktop looks unhinged, it's like a messy like physical desk. Like it needs to be cleaned at some point. So I guess let's go ahead and get into the ranking of this movie.
Yeah, let's do that.
So what would you rank it?
Well, what's our rating scale here?
So on our ranking scale, we have avoid, meh, solid, great, and superb.
I'm gonna give this a superb.
Dang. Okay.
Yeah, because I think it was just really clever how they used the camera, like how we're seeing it through the perspective of the webcams or the phone cameras and all that, and they were able to like do that consistently throughout. There's only one part in the movie where I think like they, because when they like save the dad, I believe they, or not that was save the dad. SWAT team comes in the house. I think that's like a movie adaptation. Oh
yeah, they had. So there's this whole other thing that like both the June and her friend, can't remember her character name off the top of my head. They're watching the show called Unfiction. And it's like a true crime thing, and like they switched to that. Like I thought it was really weird because like it would switch to this angle where it's like this big overproduced like Hollywood thing. It's like
right.
Is this the actual movie now? And then it zooms out and it's a TV show.
It's a TV show they're watching on the computer, I think, or something like that. I thought like because when they got rescued, the movie was just going to drop the whole thing.
It did like, the same thing.
But then because I was like, oh, that's interesting, and it's like, and it was like kind of stylized with that movie, fictional movie that's in this movie. But it was kind of neat when they pulled away from that, and it was actually just a movie they're watching. I thought that was pretty clever too. So there's a lot of cool things. I like the mysteries on top of mysteries as you're watching this. Some of them are a little absurd, but whatever. I mean, I thought it was just really fun, and it's a really intense movie. Just that kept me hooked because it could have been like a lot more simple, just like mom's missing or just doing some basic things. But the fact that they add on different levels of conspiracy with this, and it's not until you see the big picture that it's like it all makes sense. I thought it was pretty good, and I like the style in which it was told. Very different from the other 3 movies we watched over the weekend, and so it's just kind of a cool movie that I wasn't expecting much from, but I was delighted by. So I think it was pretty superb. So I enjoyed it very much, and we're interested in searching now, and watching some more of these films in this way. Nice.
Well, I guess I'd have to say for myself. So, I'm thinking about this. All the things that you mentioned are positives. I think this movie as well. I think I'm going to put it between great and superb. There's not really anything, I don't really have anything negative to say about it. I mean, I guess I wasn't necessarily, like, I was surprised by all like the mystery things that are happening. And I think I do like the kind of non-conformity of the way this was shot or like presented to us. Coming through on like a computer screen instead of like traditional camera angles. I really appreciate that, and it's something that like it changes the formula, which is nice. I don't think it's necessarily anything new though, because there have been some other and granted I didn't see it, but there was like a horror film a few years ago that did a similar thing where it was all told through webcams, which. I don't know. It seemed kind of interesting to me. So I will say I really did like it. I do think Storm Reed's performance is quite strong. I think she does a fantastic job. I don't know. I don't know if I was expecting more. Like I was sitting there kind of just like, okay, where's this going now? So I think it's definitely worth watching. And I think for me, it's between great and superb. Because like I don't think there was anything like with like RRR like we watched that where I'm like just completely blown away. And I think for me like that has to happen for it to be like ultra superb.
Yeah. Which is not a part of our rating
which is
sequence.
not. Maybe in the future.
But movie this type, it's like it so easily not work. Like
yes. Oh, I completely
the gimmick can wear off after 10 minutes or so, and so. So I think that's where one of the strengths is you just don't feel that gimmickiness throughout. It like services the story pretty well. I think. It's pretty good.
So yeah, and I think it's something that like I would definitely recommend to anybody else. If you're watching the podcast or if you're listening, I would check it out. Again, it is on Netflix. It is available. I'm not sure where its predecessor searching is at.
Yeah, we weren't able to find it either, but we didn't really look too hard either. So
gotcha. So that one might be worth. It does look interesting.
Yeah.
So and it I don't remember who the main star is in that one, but he's in other things.
Yes.
So like,
yes,
I recognize the face,
but
but I don't reckon. I can't think of anything.
There
specific.
are actors in that movie that have other acting jobs.
Credits.
Yes.
they have an IMDb.
Okay, well that's good for our review for Missing. So I think we're pretty much good to wrap up for today's episode. We've kind of run out of time now today.
Yes, we have.
We will be back next time with a new review of a new movie. And until then, we'll see you guys later.
See ya.